Good morning, all. Good morning to you all. Happy Tuesday to you. Happy Tuesday to you. Put happy Tuesday in the chat because you want to know why? Because normally I can't say this because normally this is Chad's day. So let's do happy Tuesday in the chat. Happy Tuesday in the chat. If you can come on video, I want to see your smiling faces. What up, Rebecca? I'm just in your hometown of Florida. There's Robin in Key West. Look at that, man. I tell you, I still got a little sunburn. I think it's sunburn, windburn from the convertible. But you know what, all? I'll take that burn. That is a good burn to have. I will accept that burn. What's up, Chris? What's up, Michelle? Good morning to you.
Morning.
Justine, good morning to you. What's up, Coach Jada? Sydney in Oregon's over here. Paul, good morning to you. Millie, what's up, Millie? Good morning, Angela. Guys, just to let you know, if you have a friend that is always on Facebook, tell them to come on Zoom because we're having some issues with the Zoom. We're having some issues with the Zoom. The Zoom's not really working. I don't really know. We got some problems, but we're working through it. It's not going to slow us down, but it does alter the conversation where we will be able to talk. Plus, I like Zoom because then I get to really see you. Facebook, it's like the hidden. Now, if you're like, well, Brock, you don't want to see me right now. That's fine. You can take it off view. You can take it off the video. Right, John Root? What up, John? What up, Alicia? I was in your state of Florida as well. Beautiful state, gorgeous state over there. So good morning to everybody. The topic today is purpose behind your problem. I want to keep the Chad theme of purpose, but the purpose behind your problem. So for those that are taking notes today, that is going to be the topic. And I wrote this down, John Hart. Rebecca, she's my coach, and she tells me, Brock, you gotta have a plan. So here's my plan, all. Today, I'm going to give you a five-step recipe to problems and how to solve them. I'm going to give you four ahas, three concepts, two quotes, and one final thought. A 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's what I'm going to bring to the table for those of you working the numbers there, Now, just to see if I can just present. I actually wrote this and did this on the airplane as I was sitting there because we were on the tarmac for about, 45 minutes. And I kind of guess took my little cat nap then, which I should have rotated it because this plane didn't have any Wi-Fi. How many of you put a 6 in the chat? How many of you buy the Wi-Fi while you're flying? Put a 6 in the chat if you buy the Wi-Fi when you're flying. And this is how I justify it. I'm like, well, if I could go spend the money on something else and a coffee at Starbucks, that I can spend the $6.99 here to do some Wi-Fi to keep myself proactive because I like to listen to a lot of videos while I was up there. And so, but this one didn't have Wi-Fi option. So I was like, well, guess I'm gonna really just have to keep to myself. So I actually wrote down 16 questions that the top real estate agents are asking, and I'm breaking it down though. So that was one of my things for my real estate coaching to help people is like all the things I hear with real estate agents, and then I wrote down the message today. So let us get into the message today on this beautiful Tuesday. Thank you to Chad Free for switching it up yesterday. A little different than me driving on the Sunshine Highway, the 7-mile bridge. Put a 7 in the chat if you've been on the 7-mile bridge. Put a 7 in the chat. If you have not been on the 7-mile bridge, when you come down in July, I recommend, yeah, I know it's July, but it's okay. You'll be fine because it's a convertible. Get a convertible, go to Miami, get a Turo, okay? Get a Turo, Turo, and take the trip. I've done it 4 times. I'll probably do it again in July. It's just a beautiful trip. It really seems to go by extremely fast because you're just looking at so many things, but it's pretty cool. So yesterday I was doing that, so thank you to Chad. Let us start off with the affirmation. I ran the 7-mile bridge. You know, do you guys have one of those people that are always the one-uppers? There's always the one-uppers, right? She's the one-upper. We're just trying to get people to drive there. And Robin's like, somebody's gonna say, I did it backwards. I did a crab walk with the 7-mile. Remember the crab walk? I hated that in PE class, the crab walk. All right, we're just getting crazy today. All right, let's pull up here. All of us saying it together, saying it with energy, saying it with passion today, that you really feel it and mean it, because something good is going to definitely happen to you. Let's all say it together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Something good is going to happen to me. Something good is going to happen through me. If I do forget to tell you to take your microphones off, by all means, you guys are always more than welcome to do that. I do not get upset. So let's get into a little bit. I did tell you it's going to be a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It doesn't mean that it's going to be in that order, but I'm going to share with you some of the things that I have for us today. And I hope when it's all said and done with, I'm going to ask a silly question. How many of you put an 8 in the chat? No, put yes me. Put yes me, because I really want to know it's you, because it's really how many of you have had a problem or have a problem right now? How many of you have had a problem in your life or going through a problem right now? Just put yes me, just so I know if I'm talking to you. Maybe you're one of those people who've never had problems. Maybe you are. If you are, I do need to talk to you right after this. I will remove my team meeting and I will talk to you immediately if you've never had problems before, or you're just probably staying in a bubble. I don't know if we are on Facebook. Are we on Facebook? It doesn't look like it. So I can't talk to the Facebook peeps, but they'll be okay. So here's what we learned in reference to some of the concepts or some of the key ingredients when it comes time that I've learned when I was reading this passage and reading this message. The main passage, for those of you who look at the Bible verses, I'm not a Bible verse all. Okay, Robin will correct me in a heartbeat. I think she gets excited when she gets to correct me. But I'm going to tell you, this is the verse that I got it from, John Hart. It was Romans chapter 8, verse 28 through 29. Okay, we're going to bring this up a couple times here, but I'm gonna read to you the verse, and then we're going to break it down a little bit. Okay, it says God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them. So the main thing, if you're going to underline anything on here, is everything to work together. That is the main words that struck to me when I was doing it. And so the first takeaway I had is your most profound and intimate, darkest days, your darkest secrets, your darkest experiences with yourself and God happen when you're alone, in pain, and it's dark. You can ask Chad Free, he was in a closet. If I went around the room and asked several of you your hardest times in your life, I remember mine. I was by my house, inside my house, crying like a baby. My electricity was off. My house was about to be foreclosed on. Did we have the newborn? We did not have the newborn yet. Brielle was at school. She was at a nanny. I was deep into my lawsuit. My wife at the time had no idea. And I had no idea how I was going to explain to them why the power was not on. I had no money. I had no credit cards because they were all maxed out. I was 3 months behind on my electric bill and owed $287. And I had no idea what I was going to do. And let me just tell you, there was not an owner's manual in the kitchen, in the glove box. There was nobody I could call and explain to them in 5 minutes the hell I was in. I was hurt. I was low. Sometimes I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And I know somebody right now is thinking some of those moments that they've had in their life when you're by yourself. But that is God, guys, in reference, he does it on purpose. Unfortunately, that's part of the process that you have to go through. And that's why the topic is the purpose behind your problem. There's a purpose behind it. Because if I didn't go through that little that intimate moment with myself, with the tears falling down on my face, I would not be able to sit here today and share with you this message. Little did I know that 8 years ago, hell was going to be transformed into today's message. But God knew it because he had a plan. So here was the other takeaway. At the time period, I wasn't spiritual at all. You never know. Let me make sure I get it right. You will never know that God is all you need until God is all you got. You never know that God is all you need until God is all you got. You got nothing else. Zero. Zippo. And in those moments, in those crazy moments, is when we start to grow. We start to take shape. Now, I'm going to go back to the verse here. Jay, if you could pull it back up, because there's some key ingredients that I want to share with you on the lines it says here. It says, I want you to look at where it says, everything to work together. For the good, everything to work together. Thank you, Jay. It doesn't say a couple things to happen to you. It doesn't say only during this part of the season, I'll make it work together. It doesn't say a few times. It doesn't say once in a while. It doesn't say once a year. He doesn't say work together on occasion. He doesn't say any of that. He says everything to work together. How many of you are like, damn, I don't know, Brock, I might have an asterisk next to my name because it's a little different for me. My situation is a little different. See, when I went to AA rooms I thought I was the only one that was in hell. I really thought nobody had another story like I had. I was like, man, these guys are going to think they're probably going to I literally thought they would probably kick me out. Like, I thought that they would be like, man, I'm not too sure about this guy. And some of you right now are thinking you don't understand, bro. My story is I'm in a season of hell. And let me just tell you, when I went into those rooms, it all worked out. I've actually learned. I mean, there was a guy next to me who had a shotgun in his mouth, having a conversation. He's like, and then I was talking like this all, and I was like, holy shit, bro, you are messed up more than I am. And he started laughing at me. I was like, damn, I thought I had some problems. See, we all think we have problems. We do, and it's okay, because once you understand it's part of the process, then things start to think differently for you. So this formula I wrote down here, this little recipe, it talks about the individual things, and it wrote down in here, I thought that this was a very good way to do it, that if you took, and we're going to bake a cake. Where are my bakers? Any bakers in here? Any bakers that we got here? We got Rebecca's a baker. I knew Rebecca's a baker. Michelle's a baker. Michelle wants to be. She kind of like did one of those. We're not too sure. But she's like, yes, I can bake. So we have some bakers. I like to bake. I like to cook. And so if we were to take the individual ingredients, okay, and I wrote down these ingredients that typically are in here: flour, salt, a raw egg, oil, sugar, and I added this one in, Robin, because I was in Key West. I put some key lime in there, some lime in there, just to make a key lime pie. Even though you probably don't need that other stuff, but I just want to say key lime. I just want to say it. But imagine if I said, Justine, I want you to eat this raw egg. Rebecca, I need you just to swallow this salt just by itself. Sydney, I want you to just drink this oil. You'd be like, no, that is gross. That is disgusting. I want nothing to do with it. Hey, you know what? Where's my boy Jada? Jada's tough. I want you to just have this whole cup of flour. Just shove this cup of flour in your mouth, Jada, and just don't have any water, nothing. See, individually, it wouldn't taste very good. Individually, our problems don't make sense until we do what with the ingredients? We start pouring them. Boy, where's Derek? I should have my little props here. We start pouring them all in together. All together. Everything together in the bowl. And we start mixing it up. So the first part of the recipe is the salt, the flour, all our problems. The second part is we need to blend them together. We actually need to blend them together. And sometimes it's with other people. We have to have conversations because that's when the good is starting to be made. We're not ready for it yet because we don't understand. We're not too sure. How many of you are my bakers and say, I don't know how this is going to turn out yet. I don't know how this is going to, this is my first time doing it. How many of you got some first time problems right now? I learned, what's the rapper? He talks about it. He says, Biggie says, more money, more problems. The more money you have, you just have more problems and they're a little bit more expensive. They're a little bit more challenging. So it doesn't matter what the situation is. But when you blend these things together all and you're mixing it up, what do? We then take that bowl. And number 3 to the ingredient is we take it. Do we cook this the mixing, my bakers? When we mix it all in, John Hart, I'm pretty sure we don't take that same mixing bowl and put it in the oven, do we? What do we got to do? We got to put it in a new environment. We got to put it in a new pan. It has to go into a new environment. It has to go into a new pan. Why does it have to go into this new pan? It's because we're like, we put it all together and like we have our spatula and like, whoa, this looks beautiful. This is amazing. And my kids, they like take their finger and we want to lick it and we taste it and we feel like we've arrived. How many of you sometimes you get through a problem and you're like, I got to figure it out. This is what it is. And then all of a sudden, oh shit. We put it in the oven, and guess what has to happen? Do we put it in the oven and is it like room temperature, Rebecca? Is it room temperature, Paul? Or is it jacked up with the heat? Is it intense heat that now has to take place? Just when we have it figured out. Just when I thought the day that I turned my electricity on, I was like, all right, whew, I think I got it. The IRS comes knocking on my door. Says, sir, you're going to go to jail if you don't get this taken care of. Knocking on the door. This is Marcia from the DSS services. We have a complaint against you with your kids. We need to come into your house. If you don't allow us, we'll take your kids right now. Those are tough days all. That's when the intense heat was hitting. That's when the oven was freaking maxed out and you're like, damn, I thought I was through this. So then what we go through this intense heat and we're looking, we try to use other tools around us and we turn the oven light on. And we're like, I think I can see it. Is it done? Is it not done? I don't know. What's the timer say? And this is the problem what we have all is when we're in the problem, we forget about the patience. We start to lose patience. I don't know if it's done. The thing said it was done. It was supposed to be done. And some of us, we pull it out prematurely and we're like, damn, it's not done yet. And it's got to go back in. And we're like, I don't want it to go back in because like I was supposed to have dinner, I was supposed to be prepared. It's not on our time, it's on God's time. And the process isn't working out for us. And so what happens is we struggle and maybe, just maybe, we get to the end game and we take it out. And the final step of this ingredient, the final step of this recipe is what do? And this is the hardest part is what do we have to do? We put it on our stove and we have to leave it alone. We have to let it set. Sometimes our best baking goods have to be let alone for longer periods, but we want to eat it right away. How many of us, the kids, they come, I want to eat that. How can I not eat that? I want to eat that. It's right there, Dad. Got to set. And some of you right now are in your setting period. and you don't know what to do and it pisses you off. But this is what God's purpose is. He's saying, I need you to let it set because it's for the good. Just like it was in the message, just like it was in that. Everything to work together for the good. Not to say for the bad. It doesn't say this is going to be the worst thing you ever going to have. But the problem is, and I shared it with you all, is we lack the patience. There's another P word that we lack, and we lack persistence. My son Bryce, he always likes to mix the bowl. And guess what happens? He mixes the bowl. Isn't it usually pretty easy? Sometimes when there's a lot of liquid in there, what happens is his arm gets tired. Dad, I don't know if I can keep going. Son, you wanted to do it. You got to finish it out. I make him finish it. I'm like, you want to finish? You want to mix the bowl? You're freaking mixing the bowl, bud. I'll help you out, but you're not leaving. He has to stay right there on the stool. I said, you grab my hand. You grab my hand. We're going to do it together. Some of you on here need to grab somebody's hand. Some of you on here need to start to learn that it's okay just to grab hand instead of just saying, Dad, I'm done with the bowl. It's too hard. Guys, that's when the batter is really made. That's when the batter is really, because we get the chunks out. We make it smooth. And see, we don't have the persistence because 1, 2, how much longer do we have to do this for? And we give up. And we give up in the middle of our problems. So we never get to see the other side of it. And we never get to see the purpose that God created the problem for. Am I talking to somebody right now? Am I telling somebody right now that I'm giving up too soon? That's me. I'm in the oven. I don't have the persistence. Brock, I don't have the patience to set. I need it right now. See, this story, this problems to the purpose is so important because it's in so many lives, because you all said, yes, me, that you've either been in a problem or you have a problem. And what happens, and when people look at me, and I'm blessed when people say to me, you know what, man, I really like what you're doing. I really like what's going on. I really like this. It's a testament of my character that God had put inside of me. And see, what happens is the patience and persistence that we're building, it produces, when we stay persistent, it produces our promise. We never get to that sometimes because it's just like the internet. God forbid the internet goes out. We have a major crisis and we're asking 27 people like around us. We're calling the neighbor. Hey, is your internet out? Is your internet out? Guys, we were doing an event last Tuesday and I open up the doors. Where's Kimberly? If Kimberly's on here, we open up, this stranger just comes in. Stranger walks right into the building. And I was like, so like the owner's not there. So she gives me the code and I'm like, who's this person? Like, I'm not having any problems on my time, on my watch. I said, excuse me, ma'am, can I help you? Oh, yes, is Terry here? I'm like, no, she's not here. And she keeps walking in. I said, can I help you? She goes, our internet's out. I just want to see if theirs was too. I don't want to be like, what, to give her a high five? Like, yeah, good. I'm glad yours is out too. Like, why do we do that? Like, why do we go find other people to see if they have the same problem we do? Instead of wasting their time and energy, just work on your problem yourself. Like, work on yourself. Or see who else has this problem. This next part I hear, this is what happens outwardly in your life is not as important as what happens internally. This is the transformation of the oven when you take the wet batter and you put it in the intense heat. Outside conditions, no matter how long I leave it there, bakers, is that cake or bake going to ever do what it needs to do? No matter how long I sit there, it will never it will never transform what it needs to until it goes into the oven. Until it internalizes and goes inside the oven, it will never turn out to the product you want it to be. And some of us are scared to go in the oven today. I got to get my quote in, my second one, because I told you there's going to be two. Comes from Corrie ten Boom. She was in a Nazi camp. Corrie ten Boom. She says, if we look at the world, you'll be distressed. If you always look at others, you'll become stressed and depressed. But if you look at your inside and God, you'll become at rest. And what did we say the last key ingredient was to our little baking recipe? It was putting it on the stove and letting it rest. In the rest is where we grow, no matter how hard it is. That is when we find out that when we look inside of ourselves, when we come outside of that intense heat, that is the moment where we get to be at rest. And that is the moment where we grow the most. It's hard to get to that final stage. It's hard to get to the I'm going to let it here to set. Some of you are close to it. Unfortunately, some of you are in the batter phase. But understand this, it's okay whatever phase you're in. Because if you understand the process, that the problem has a promise at the end, and if you change the way you think about it, then it's really not a problem. It's just a process. And most champions, they will always say that their highlight and their joy is not the championship ring. It is the process to get to that ring. Jim Rohn says his mentor told him that his goal that he wanted to become was a millionaire. And his mentor says, you know what, Jim? He goes, when you make $1 million, you'll give the $1 million away. Because the riches is not in the money, it is the person you became. And today, you are all becoming somebody of a significance. You are learning your process. And I will conclude with this in my final thought. If you change your conversations, instead of a comforting prayer, a comforting conversation, that sounds like, God, please remove this from my life. God, help me feel this. Help me feel better. Help me remove this pain. That is a comforting conversation. That's a comforting prayer. And I want you to change from comforting to conforming. I want you to change it to a conforming conversation. How can I help others through what I'm going through? And little did I know 8 years ago on a couch full of tears that I would be able to be on here today to helpfully conform and comfort and to give you some inspiration, to give you some sort of life, to be able to say, let it be. Go through the recipe process. If there's anything, I would write down this recipe and ask yourself, where are you in the recipe? Because once you know it, just like a baker, once they understand the process, they trust the process. That's why I love that shirt, trust the process. It will work out if you follow the plan. Guys, that is what I got today, 8:46. I was a little nervous at one point. I was like, I don't know if I'll be landing this plane in time. I was a minute over. If you were able to get something out of today, if I was able to help you in some capacity, put me in the chat. If you were able to take something out of whatever it is that I was able to share with you. We are working on getting the recordings so that way people can see it. I will always be putting out my show notes. That is one of the things that I want to do to separate and elevate myself from the speaking engagements that I like to do, is to be able to give you my show notes. So if you want my show notes, put notes in the chat and we will make sure that we get those over to you. And If you like what we had to say here, wait until you hear our freaking speakers that we got in Key West this July. It is going to be amazing. The Rebeccas, the Chads, the Derek's. Who else do we got? We got a list of people, and we got the hotel down, we got the venue down, we got the cooks, we got a sunset sail cruise, we got live music now, we got food happening. I was like, these guys are gonna be hungry. They're gonna be hungry and they're gonna be thirsty. We gotta make sure you guys are always thirsty and hungry. We gotta make sure you're well fed. Guys, I appreciate you all. The dates again are July 16th, 17th, and 18th. Get ready. We will have tickets. We will have everything that you need coming out with the venue, the events, everything that you want. So I'd love to be able to have you. Thank you all for putting me in the chat. It means a lot to me because I know God's using me, my problems, to help other people's purpose. So God bless you all. Thank you so much, all. Have a phenomenal day. And tomorrow, I don't know. I'm not normally on Wednesdays. I'm not normally on Tuesdays. I don't know if it's Jada. Is it Jada or Rebecca? I don't know. It's not Rebecca's like, it's not me. It is not me. It's Jada. And it's not Jada. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Todd! It's Coach Todd. Coach Tid. I knew they'd help me out. Coach Todd, come back tomorrow, guys. Todd's going to be with us. God bless you all. Thank you guys so much. See ya.